Hello guys, here from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, and joining me now is Einstein of Wall Street.
Hello everyone, how are you?
Of course, we know your face for years already on Inside Wirtschaft. So how is it to be famous here on Wall Street?
You know what, I enjoy it, I love it. I'm starting to actually get recognized on the street. That's kind of fun. But you know, for the most part, what's important to me is that people still see that there are human beings here on the floor. Look, we're in the New York Stock Exchange, the greatest building in the world, the most influential building in finance, in history, right? This is a place that, you know, a couple hundred years ago, Alexander Hamilton started the Federal Reserve and the banking system. George Washington was inaugurated outside. We've been trading stocks here for hundreds of years, right? This building built in 1903. So when anyone thinks of finance and they think of excitement and adrenaline and trading stock and screaming and yelling and open outcry, they think of this building.
And you are not a robot, you are not an algorithm, you're real.
I am real, I'm a human. I am here to show you that there are people behind your money, right? There are human beings making decisions, and yes, these faces and emotions are real. You know, we're trading real money in real time, and it's the greatest job in the world.
You know, a lot of young people are watching my videos, our videos here, your videos every day. And sometimes I get questions like, how can I become a millionaire? You know, this is like the first question. I think it's a stupid way to think about your career if money is the first thing you're thinking about. So what would you recommend young people who would like to start a career in finance? How should they start, and what should they think of, like maybe studying?
So my first tagline in the world right now that I'm following is, if you find something you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. I come here every day and it's the greatest job on earth. So, you know what, look, money is a motivator, there's no question about it. It buys you freedom, it doesn't buy you happiness. Super important thing to know. So, you know, and it can come and it can go. So if that's your motivator and that's your impetus, you know, you're always going to be at risk of it disappearing, okay? So look, if you're a young person and you're interested in finance, how do you get in this business? It's not an easy business to get into, but I think it's super interesting. Look, there's so much media out there that follows markets. Here in the US, we have so many TV shows and news stations that follow, that are very educational. For instance, Jim Cramer, Mad Money, Fast Money, a lot of the CNBC shows, a lot of the media that we do here that follows finance. So I like to avail myself of all the information, right?
So one more thing, right? The young people I know, they stopped watching TV shows because they're only online, you know, they're watching YouTube.
Right. So you know what, I don't know. I just started doing some financial literacy YouTube stuff with a young man to teach young people about getting involved in the markets. Okay, so let's see. In America, we have a thing called Acorn. We have a number of these apps, right? The key to is start investing in yourself, first of all. So what you need to, this market is very exciting. It offers you potential to be interested in so many different things. Let's say you're into fashion. Well, look at the companies that are related to fashion. Louis Vuitton, Philips Van Heusen. Look at retail stores. If you're a shopper and a consumer, you could look at high-end retail, low-end retail. If you're into sports, okay, there's old Madison Square Garden, ESPN, they own those companies. If you're into movies, like Disney. If you're into sneakers, there's Nike and Under Armour. So whatever your interest is, find something that tweaks your interest, something that wakes you up in the morning. Right? If you're into really beautiful clothes, like you're an elegant guy, there are companies like that, you know, that actually make the clothes you wear. Look at how those companies work. Look at the stock. Find some way to, you know, to find an interest in it besides just money. And then that will broaden your interest in the stock. So I always like to say, for young people, think about it. Young people ask me, well, what should I invest in? And I said that young people are the consumers of the world. They know better than me what to invest in. Walk down the street, look at what sneakers people are wearing, what clothes they have, what computers they use, what phone they use. And at the end of the day, you'll see Nike, Apple, you know, Louis Vuitton or whatever it may be. So consumers of the world are young people. find something you're interested in, find some way of directing yourself into markets, and then sort of avail yourself of all the information that's out there. Whether you watch about finance and stuff on YouTube or you watch it on live TV, there's so much information now, right? There's so much opportunity to find some way to get interested in the market. Find a reason to get involved.
So is education the key? Do you have to go to college and to study for many years, finance or whatever it is, to find then finally a job on Wall Street?
You know what, I kind of think that it gives you some credibility in, who is going to hire you, whether you're going to be hired by an investment bank or a regular commercial bank or by a hedge fund or whatever, or any corporation. The more education you have, the more information you know, gives you some credibility. It gives you a direction, right? There are people who, are young, who have a little money, they hit a stock, they strike it rich, and they're living on a boat in Cannes and drinking champagne with pretty girls. That's not the majority of people. So an education is helpful. It's not the only way. I surely would recommend getting a college education. There's so much to be excited about in finance, right? There's so many. Also, there's another thing. So there are a lot of apps now, apparently, where you can actually buy slices of companies, right? So, young people will go, well, there's a lot of obstacles to me getting involved in the market. I can't afford one share of Amazon. Well, there are ways now that you can actually invest $10, $20, $30. There are apps that will slice and dice companies. So once you own a stock and you see it grow, you get excited and you'll be involved, right? So the other thing I like to say is that, every time a new iPhone comes out, we buy it. Every time a new sneaker comes out, we buy it. Every time a new computer comes out, we buy it. The next sweatshirt that comes out, we buy it. Well, if you step back for a minute and think, you know what, instead of buying the next iPhone 10, there's nothing wrong with my iPhone 9. I buy one share of Apple stock, or I buy some Nike stock instead of spending $500 on the next sneaker. And then you hang out for a little bit and you watch that grow, right? Then you will really get excited. There's nothing better than to buy something, be investing in yourself and your future, not just consuming stuff, right? Look around your room. I guarantee you everyone who's watching this has got a lot of stuff. More sneakers than they need, more phones than they need, whatever it is. Consuming stuff gives you an idea of what the future looks like, but it doesn't guarantee you're investing in your own future. So think about that concept for a second.
So you mentioned one example, like young people drinking champagne somewhere. I still have the feeling sometimes, people think it's very easy, and they have maybe like this picture of the Wolf of Wall Street in their minds, just making fast money, whatever it takes. Maybe like, also like risky things like Bitcoin maybe as an example. So what do you think about that? Should people think more like in the long term?
So you know what, like, you don't build a house in one day. You don't build a house by putting a brick up here and a brick up there. Everything that we build that has value and has a foundation, right? You start at the bottom and it takes some learning and it takes some good judgment and whatnot. Yes, there are people who make fast money and they go on and everything's fine and good. A majority of people, that's not the case, right? So, people also, if you avail yourself of the education and information's out there relative to the stock market, you'll notice that I always talk about stuff I know about. And there's a lot more I don't know than what I do know. But I've been doing this for a long time, right? And as I've said, I've never owned a share of stock in my life. But it's interesting to watch. People think, well, the stock went from $10 to $2. It must be worth buying. Well, no, it went from 10 to 2 for a reason. It's like trying to catch a falling knife. So yes, there are fast money schemes. Yes, you could buy Bitcoin at 3,000 and it goes to 8,000. But you can also buy Bitcoin at 20,000 and it goes to 3,000. So at the end of the day, investing is an art, okay? Not being greedy, making good judgment, right? Going slow and steady, right? And you build a foundation, I don't want to. I want people to follow their dreams. So in order to follow your dreams, you need to avail yourself of a lot of information. And there's a lot of quick money schemes. They tend not to work. There are some flashes in the pan. But at the end of the day, if you look around and you're an interested, excited young person, there's so much possibilities in this marketplace. For instance, look around this room, guys. Look at my videos. You'll see there are thousands of companies that you think you don't know about, but you do know so many of them, whether it's a Disney or a Visa, or if you're into oil, or if it's a Halliburton, or it's a Nike or an Under Armour, or it's whatever it is, that are companies that are real. They have valuation because they've made good investments. Read about it, learn about it. Surround yourself with people who are smart, right? Not just people who are selling you.
So it's good that I'm here right now next to you.
Wow.
So
there are a lot of people smarter than me, but I try to be cautious, and I try and analyze what's going on around me.
one more question. You said you never owned a stock in your life. What are you investing in?
You know what, to be perfectly honest, I've invested in my children. So my children will, and this is a privilege, I know that, but my children graduated, my daughter graduated college last weekend, and both my children and my son graduated a few years ago. He works with me here, and they will graduate without any debt. So we did not take out any student loans. That's a privilege I have by working here and making a good living. But I invested in them so that they can go out there. One of the problems we have here in the States, I don't know if you have it in Germany, is, but in order to pay for college and university, to get education, get educated, it's incredibly expensive. And then if you take loans, by the time you graduate, you can spend the next 20 years paying that back. And that will affect what job you get, where you live, and your credit, and all those other things. So I kind of made a deal. Look, it's complicated why I've never owned a share of stock. I represent customers, so I don't really want to have a conflict of interest. If I was always worried about my profit and loss statement, I wouldn't be worrying about my customers, right? So that's one reason. Secondly, I have 2 children who went through college. That's rather pricey, so I decided to invest in their future. Hopefully one day they'll take care of me. So that's kind of where it is.
So Peter, thank you so much for this very interesting view of your thoughts, of your life. So appreciate that.
Find something you love to do. You'll never work a day in your life.
Follow your dreams.
There you go.
Peter Tuchman, Einstein of Wall Street. Thank you so much for joining us today. And guys, thank you for watching.